deception, one drink stands above them all. They told you it dehydrates you. They say it stunts your growth. The truth has been buried long enough. I'm here to set the record straight.
Hey, this is Cade with The Village Coffee, and here are 5 myths about coffee. You've probably heard things like dark roast coffee has the most caffeine, or espresso beans are better than regular coffee beans, and I hear these myths all the time, and so I'm here to debunk 5 of them today. Myth number 1. Dark roast has the most caffeine. This is one of the most common ones, and it's just false. I think it comes from the flavor of dark roast coffee being so pungent and in your face that people are like, well, I mean, this has to have more caffeine. It's so strong. It's cooked longer, but it has less caffeine because you're losing, as you roast the coffee bean more, you're losing mass, and in that mass is caffeine and all the elements of a coffee bean. So as you roast it more is getting burnt off. So if you measure by the scoop, light roast will give you more caffeine, but if you measure by weight, which you should, then the difference is almost negligible between light and dark roast. And so not only is it a myth that dark roast has more caffeine, it's actually the opposite of what's true. Myth number 2, espresso beans are different. There's no such thing as a magical espresso bean. Espresso is a brewing method. It's like saying a drip bean or a cold brew bean. There might be certain properties that are highlighted in that bean or blend or whatever that shine in those specific brewing methods, but a bean wasn't grown in a coffee plant destined to be a certain type of brew. Any bean can be brewed as espresso. There can be light espresso beans, dark, blends, single origin, all of that alike. Yeah, so basically as a roaster, we have decided to stick with single origin beans and really craft that bean down. Blends are something that we'll probably explore down the road, but right now where we're at, the single origin is just, it's the truest way to experience the coffee. There's a uniqueness in the roasting and the roasting technique and the batch size and the... Myth 3, coffee is best right after it was roasted. Fresh is usually best, but not in this case. Coffee needs to rest and degas, and all that means is we just cooked the coffee bean to a really high temperature and it quickly expanded, and now all of the gases are trying to escape. CO2 from the coffee releases, and if you try to drink it too early and you try to brew the coffee too early after it's roasting, then what you end up with is a sour and grass tasting cup of coffee. Typically 3 days in my experience is the minimum that I would give coffee resting after roasting it to then brew it. Any time before that, the coffee's still developing. It'll either be bland or sour and tastes like grass, and you just want to let the coffee rest and get that degas time in. So just like myth number 1, this one is not only a myth, but it's also the opposite of truth. You don't want to immediately brew coffee the second it's roasted. You want to give it some rest time to develop the flavor and get all that CO2 gas out of there. Myth number 4, the darker the roast, the stronger the coffee. Strong here, I would say, is being misconstrued for bitterness. Darker coffee is typically more bitter and more pungent in your face. You think the strength comes from the roast when really that's in the brewing process. So this is not in the hands of the farmer or the roaster. This is 100% in your hands. So you'll see different ratios for coffee. So talking the science terms, 1 to 15 is typical for drip. 1 to 10 to 1 to 12 is typical for cold brew. All that is the amount of coffee to the amount of water. And so the closer that number is, so 1 to 2, 1 to 3, that's gonna be a lot more concentrated. And you'll see that just like drip is weaker, concentrated wise compared to if you just have espresso. So strength in this case actually refers to the brew ratio and extraction and not the roast level. Myth 5, all iced coffee is the same. Let's define iced coffee. If our description of iced coffee is coffee and ice, we can really put that term iced coffee in that we just described into 3 different brewing methods. And only one of those is really iced coffee. This seems like an elitist thing, or you don't really need to know this, but this is a reason why a lot of times you go to a coffee shop and you order something and you call it what you think it's called, and you get something completely different. You're like, oh yeah, that was really weak, or oh yeah, that was really strong, or it's inconsistent. because iced coffee is used in general terms incorrectly by people, not really cafes. Cafes and baristas typically know what iced coffee is. So an iced coffee is a generic term, just mean ice and coffee, but it's also a specific way to make iced coffee. So typically if you go into a cafe and you order an iced coffee, one, it'll be the cheapest way that you can get coffee with ice. And that's because it is drip coffee. It's brewed hot and they just pour it over ice. And so you get the acidity from drip, you get the kind of muted flavors from drip, and then you get it actually weaker than what drip would be because they're pouring hot coffee right over ice and then maybe adding more ice because the ice that cooled down the drip coffee melted. You might have spent $2, $3, but that's because it's just drip coffee with ice. Now, what you might be thinking of when you think of iced coffee is either cold brew or an iced latte. And so all that is cold brew is way less acidic. It's brewed 12 to 24 hours. It'll have a way different strength because of the brewing process and the brew ratio compared to drip and then icing it down, watering it down essentially. And then an iced latte is super concentrated, but it's mostly milk. It's an espresso based drink, but it's a lot stronger than what an iced coffee would be because of that ratio. So iced Americano would be the same thing as an iced latte, just no milk. They add water instead. That'll be closer to iced coffee than an iced coffee is to an iced coffee. Coffee is complex, and so are the stories around it. Coffee is a beautiful mixture of art and science. There are right ways, there are rules, but then sometimes you can break the rules. Hopefully knowing these 5 truths about coffee helps you in your daily life with ordering at cafes. Please tell a friend about this video or share it with them if you learned something today. I hope that your coffee experience and your journey continues to grow. I'm Kay with The Village Coffee, and remember, it takes a village and great coffee.